Hi, this is Marsha.
And this is Kelly.
We are the 2U's of 2U's Fiber Adventures. Thanks for stopping by.
You'll hear about knitting, spinning, dyeing, crocheting, and just about anything else we can think of as a way to play with string.
We blog and post show notes at 2usfiberadventures.com.
And we invite you to join our 2U's Fiber Adventures group on Ravelry. I'm 100 Projects.
And I am Better in Motion.
We're both on Instagram and Ravelry, and we look forward to meeting you there.
Enjoy the episode. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Marsha.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's going to be beautiful here today. Mm-hmm. We're having our summer as usual during October. Mm-hmm. the rest of the country is moving into fall, and we are moving into summer. So, how can you complain about that?
I know. We're in fall here. Uh-huh. It's cold. We had a big windstorm a couple days ago.
Oh, wow.
But all is calm, but cool.
All right. Yeah, we had temperatures in the 80s yesterday, which is very nice. But it cools off at night. It's cold, it's cool in the morning, and it cools off real quickly at night. Mm-hmm. So unlike we usually have about a week of that kind of temperature in the summer where, it doesn't cool off quite as much at night. So anyway, looking forward to a nice day.
Nice.
Yeah. Had a little.
And are you in the trailer today?
I'm actually, because I have a new microphone and I want to see how the sound quality of this is, I'm actually in the quote unquote podcast studio.
Which is the closet, right?
Yeah, well, it's the dressing room in the spare bedroom. And I've got pillows all lined up in front. Pillows all lined up in front of me. And then the closet doors behind me are all draped with quilts. Mm-hmm. So the sound is pretty dead. There's not usually a lot of echo when I do this. And I've closed the window that's right beside me so I don't have the outdoor noise coming in either, because I wanted to just really see. The trailer's kind of noisy. I mean, I don't mind recording in there, but it actually is kind of noisy because the windows are open onto the, it's in the driveway. So the front window of the trailer is directly open to the street outside. And so anyway.
Well, I should be fairly quiet too, because Enzo's at the groomers right now. So he's not here. And Kim, who's been living with me, is in the process of moving out. Her kitchen is almost done. It's just like little details that they're working on, but she's in the process of moving out. And so I think yesterday she moved her workstation, her computer, everything down to her house. And because, she's working from home as everybody is. And so she had bought a new desk for her house. So she moved everything down there yesterday and worked with Orkney, her dog. And so she's down there this morning. So I think she's going to be here tonight. And her goal is to spend Saturday night at her house. So,
oh, nice.
But, it's a process. Well, it's funny, moving in took her 2 days, but more stuff has come in. Yeah. You know how it is if you live, because she's been here since June 1st, I think. So I think the moving out process is going to be a lot longer because, she's accumulated things. So,
well, and when she moves back in, it's kind of like our project here. When she moves back in, she's moving back into kind of a new space. So she has to figure out what she wants to do with everything. Yeah. I mean, she could load it all up and then dump it, but then she has the process of moving it into her new space. Yeah.
And she's actually going to hire she's hired someone to organize the kitchen for her.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, it's kind of expensive, but I said to her, I think it's probably money well spent, because part of the issue with the old kitchen is she had so many things that they didn't really fit into all of the cabinets. And so now she has a lot more storage, but I said, you still it's a good idea just to decide to keep the things that you really need, and the things that you don't really need, just get rid of them, So I think it's kind of smart.
Yeah. You have habits about where you put things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to see another option.
Yeah.
When you've just been doing something a certain way. So, and then we've been in this house 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
And 15 years this September. And there were some things that I put away, like just to get it out of the way. Like, okay, well, I'll just put this stuff in this closet because I don't know what else to do with it right now, and I'll figure it out later. And it's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's now become its permanent home. And so, since we had to take things out of closets to have the painting and stuff done, some of the painting that we did in the entry hall, and, it's been an opportunity to kind of go through closets, clean out drawers, think about where things really should belong. Yeah. So I can see.
Well, I can top your story, Kelly. So when I moved from my rental, when Paul and I bought our Ballard house and we moved from the rental house, I had a box of things that were in one of the boxes, and I just put it in a closet at the Ballard house, and I never opened it up. So we bought that house in 92. So since 1992, that box sat in the storage unit and never was opened. And so when I moved everything, the process of moving everything out of the Ballard house into the house where I live now, I finally opened that box up.
And was there anything in there that you really needed?
No, there was interesting things in there, but nothing I needed. So I just oh, okay. And it's gone. But it's just humorous to me that I never opened the box up.
Yeah.
So
just sat in a closet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Well, and we have different kind of storage in this house than we had in the other house. And so there, like the cupboards in the dressing room area, there's a little vanity area outside of each of the bathrooms. And there's a cupboard there with a drawer and a drawer and a cupboard. And the drawer, that holds a bunch of stuff that I use, like makeup and my check. But the cupboard was always like, well, what do I put in here? And so it had like a first aid kit, and it just like collected junk because it wasn't for towels or anything like that. Those were somewhere else. And I mean, it could have been storing something much more useful than what it was storing, it just. Yeah. So anyway, I can see why it would be maybe useful to have another set of eyes helping you decide what gets stored where.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
But my point of bringing this up though is I'm dog free today. So Enzo's at the groomer, and Orkney's with Kim down at her house, and she's not here either. She's working from her house. So it should be quiet today unless something happens.
Dog is flat.
Unless something happens.
Right next to me, so I'm not sure how long that will last.
So, what else is going on? Anything else we'd like to talk about?
Well, let's talk projects, and then we can maybe swing back around. I want to do a little bit of update on the training that I've been doing with Bailey. But yeah, we can maybe talk knitting projects first.
Okay. You want to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
One project, and I was thinking I hadn't talked about this, but maybe I did. I started a ripple bralette.
Oh, yes.
by Jessie Made Designs. And my project page for this, I just have to tell people about this. My project page, I was on Twitter one night, and this one woman who is part of one of the educators that I follow, she was talking, and this would be an interesting topic for maybe a future podcast. She was talking about what, since the pandemic and, people working from home and just having the different life, what things have you started doing since the pandemic that you'll keep going with, that are just, a new addition to your life, a positive new addition to your life. And like, for example, I noticed there's a lot of people walking dogs who probably never walked their dogs before ever, and I wonder, will those dogs continue to get good walks even when people go back to work and, all that happens. But what she said was, what her comment was, so I was reading this thread about all these things that, are the positive aspects of the pandemic and things you'll never go back to. And her comment was, the only bras I'll ever wear again are bras that start with sport or end with let. And I thought that was so funny. So, because that's kind of how I feel. Mm-hmm. I think I did talk about this before on the last episode. It wasn't in the show notes, but I think I did talk about this before. But anyway, so I made this ripple bralette by Jessie Made Designs. It didn't even quite use half a skein of yarn.
Wow.
And the skein was a 300-something yard skein. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even a big skein of yarn. Let's see, 350 meters. So I have my Ravelry in meters, not yards. But so 350 meters, that's not that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like sock yarn, I mean, not like a 430 yard skein or something. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even use half.
Wow.
Not quite half, like 0.47 skein of a skein. It's a little small. I think the next one I do, if I do another one, and I think I might, the next one I do, I think I will cast on just a few more stitches. I don't think I did the 32, 34 size, and I don't know that I would need the next size up. But I do need a couple more stitches. Mm-hmm. And I need them front to back. Like under the arm.
Right.
What do I always talk about?
Because you're thick, right? We always have this conversation.
I'm in the Labrador world, they call it well sprung, Marsha. Ribs well sprung. So from front to back, from front to back, my rib cage is deep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so anyway, I need a few more stitches. And a few more stitches in there so that space is accommodated. But it's really interesting how small it is, and yet it fits. I sent you a picture, mm-hmm. and it's hardly bigger than my glasses. I put my glasses in the photograph for scale when I sent the picture to Marsha. Mm-hmm. And actually, like I'm knitting on a hat right now as we talk, and the bralette, just without being stretched or anything, it's just slightly bigger than the diameter of this hat.
Yeah.
But it's very stretchy. It does fit. It's kind of shocking. I think I'll also make it just a little longer, mm-hmm. Go down a little bit further. Or maybe I just need to, maybe it would just be better with and it'll stretch a little as I start to wear it.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm kind of afraid of. The straps feel a little bit, I didn't make them as long as the pattern called for because that just seemed like they would be too long. Mm-hmm. And now they feel like they're maybe a little, just like maybe a couple of rows too short. But I also think they'll stretch, and I'd rather not have the straps stretch out to be too big because you really can't fix that. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I'm a fan.
So what I wanted to ask you is how, because it's wool, right?
It's let's see. I'm going to look on it's 70% merino and 30% tencel. So how does it feel? Is it comfortable because you have your issues with wool? Yeah, I haven't worn it for very long. But when I just first put it on, I haven't noticed a problem with it. I have yet to wear it for a full day because, 80 degrees. Mm-hmm. But I think it might be okay. And so we'll see. I don't know. I do know there's merino that is really low micron. Mm-hmm. And I was also thinking maybe about trying a skein of the really low micron merino. Mm-hmm. The really super fine merino, and see how that feels. So anyway, I can recommend it as a project. I think it's worth a try. It's not a lot of yarn, and it's not a lot of knitting. Well, I'm kind of now I'm intrigued. I have to say, does it provide support? Yeah, really? It actually does. Well, kind of smashing. Smashing support? Yes. Sort of like a sports bra. Okay. Kind of, yeah. It's not lifting and separating. Okay.
It's smashing.
Yes.
It's a smashing success.
It's a smashing success. Yeah.
Funny.
So anyway, that's my my finished object. I do think I talked about this last time, so I apologize for the second round of this, but it wasn't in the show notes, so I wasn't sure. And then I'm working on a charity hat. I'm using that puffy rib stitch that I used for socks, and the yarn. Last year at Stitches, if you signed up for Craftsy, you got a free skein of yarn. And so I signed up for Craftsy right before they went out of business and got a free skein of yarn because I needed yarn to do the Tunisian crochet class. And I thought, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
I'll get this. So I'm using the rest of it. I did the swatch for the Tunisian crochet class, and then the rest of it I'm using to make another charity hat because what I really need to do is get started on a new project, but I just haven't had the ability to get started. So, and did not finish the Sonny Bono jacket. It's still in the exact same place it was 2 weeks ago.
Well, that's about as much progress I made on my skull.
Yes.
So
it's all right.
It's okay. Yeah. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah. But I am excited about, I finally got kind of excited about doing a sweater. The cardigan that I had been talking about doing with the CVM, I really want to make it. I need to dye that yarn. I've been talking about it for 2 years. And you know how when you talk about something for so long, then you just, like, I'm tired of it. I haven't even dyed the yarn or started the sweater, and I'm already tired of it.
That's funny.
So anyway, I switched gears and I went and bought some yarn. I had the skein that you got for me in Iceland, and I think it's actually Icelandic wool. I mean, not Icelandic wool, but a dyer from Iceland.
My understanding,
I was thinking Poland, but no, I think that was a different skein.
Yeah.
Vivid wool.
Yeah, and as I recall, it's merino wool, which they don't have in Iceland. So the wool was imported, but it was dyed in Iceland. It was my understanding.
Okay, because the now that I'm looking at the label has a map, and the map is of Iceland. So it's like, okay, why did I think it was Poland? I think maybe you bought some yarn by a Polish dyer in one of your travels. Anyway, that stuck in my mind. Yeah. But it's a really pretty kind of a teal muted, kind of a muted grayed out teal with beige and rust and darker green speckles. And it completely matched with the Invictus yarn that I bought, the Knockers colorway, which is a teal, and it's over the yak. It's the yak luxe, so it's yak and silk. And that the yak yarn is not white, so it's kind of I want to say it's kind of like a brown or a taupey color. Yeah. So the teal dye over that taupey color, it actually is spot on match with the teal color that's in the skein that you bought me. So these have been sitting together in my stash for a while, thinking I would make a shawl. And then I got the idea that I wanted to do a pullover. And again, my issues with wool, I'm not sure this is the greatest idea, but the yak feels very soft. And it's got silk in it too, so it's very sort of slick. So I thought, oh, you know what? I think I want another, I want more of this so I can make a pullover. So I went on to Invictus Yarns, and so I looked at her yak. I looked at Sue's yak luxe yarns, and she had this one color called Nevermore. And it looked lighter in the picture than it actually is because I think it's so shiny. You know, the reflection of the light made it look lighter, but it's a bluish green over dyed with black. So it's got the same, it's a little darker than I thought it was going to be, but it's beautiful. I mean, really beautiful color. It's a blue leaning green, but then it's super dark.
I'm looking. I knew you had posted. I thought you had sent me the picture, but I realized you actually posted on Instagram the skeins together. So I'm looking at it right now, and I think it's hard to see the color really. You know, the dark color doesn't photograph well, so it's got lighter parts of it, but even the lighter parts are fairly dark green. And is it only slightly blue leaning green? When I bought it, I was thinking it was probably the same green as the teal, but then with a black over it. But it's a different green, but they go together really well. So looks nice.
I bought 2 skeins of that, and it's super nice. So I'm thinking about making. I have a sweater that I like that I did not make, a commercial sweater that I really pullover sweater that I really like. It's drop sleeve, and it has a sort of a curved hem. You know, it's curved in front, goes up to kind of a goes up on the sides, and then curved in the back. And it's a really comfortable sweater, and I think it's a really flattering shape. So I was looking for a drop shoulder sweater. Yeah. And the one I found that I think I'm going to use as my base pattern is called Rachel. And it's by, I don't know how you pronounce this, Josie Paquin, Josie Paquin, I don't know. Paquin. Paquin? I
don't know.
I mean, if it was...
There's an actress with the last name of Paquin, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe it is pronounced Paquin. I'm thinking of it as like Spanish or something, but yeah. So anyway, she has 3 sweaters that are all kind of similar drop shoulder: Rachel, Muriel, and Fresh. And the Rachel, I think, is the one that I'm going to do. It's it has the drapey look of the silk and the nice drop shoulder. And I really like the neckline because it's kind of a deep neckline and it's kind of square at the bottom.
Okay.
So it's a scoop neck, but it's not like a ballet neck up near your neck, which I like that. But for wool, I don't think I want it that close. That part, I don't want wool on that part of my neck. Right. I think it will be much more likely that I can wear it if the neck is more open in the front. And so I liked that neckline.
Well, and I'm looking at it. Does it have some garter stitch around the waist? Am I looking at this?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
It has a belt. I want to say the pattern calls it like a belt detail. So yeah, it has and I don't know how that's going to fit in because I have the 3 colors. That I have 2 skeins of the darkest color, so that'll be the main color, and then I have 1 skein each of the other 2. One's a semi-solid and one's a variegated. So I'm not sure how I'm going to factor those in. I don't think I want a band of color right around that part of my body.
I'm looking at the pictures on Ravelry, and it looks like some people are choosing not to put that detail in.
Yeah. And the bottom of the I see some of them that look like it has it and some that don't. And I think there's one I saw that they put it in the back just to kind of like tuck in the back a little bit. So I don't know. I have a little bit of thinking to do about how I'm going to organize that, but I really like the neckline of it.
Yeah.
And
nice.
It's not quite the hem design that I wanted, but it does have a split hem and ribbing on the front and back with a split hem. So, that might be something that I modify a little bit too. And then the Muriel, I liked that one because it has a stripe. It has a striping detail in the yoke, which I thought, okay, not that I need to have a pattern to tell me how to stripe something, but in the striping section, it has a stitch pattern that I thought was interesting. And I thought, oh, that might be kind of nice to have a little bit of different stitch pattern in that top yoke part. Otherwise, this sweater is just straight down and much more boxy than the other one. Doesn't have the split hem. Mm-hmm. But I liked the yokes, the stitching, the stitch pattern of the yoke. And I thought, well, that might be kind of good with the variegated and the tonal green to have something other than just stockinette. Yeah. So that's one. And then the other that I bought, and I don't usually do this where I don't usually buy a lot of patterns when I haven't made a choice. But it's kind of the time of this whole pandemic. It's like, let's throw a little money around. I mean, $6.25,
right.
I can afford it. So I thought, okay, I'm going to buy all these. And then, she was having a special where if you bought 4 patterns, you got 20% off. So I got another one too. But the third pattern in this series of drop shoulder sweaters is called Fresh. And it has stripes. And I thought, oh, maybe I could use the striping pattern for this one. And, just swap in my colors. It's for mini skeins. So it probably has more colors than I have. But, maybe this would be a nice striping pattern to use.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought, I can throw a little bit of money to a pattern designer and get, a couple of patterns that maybe I don't really need because I can see the striping pattern in the picture. Mm-hmm. But I like them all, and I think there might be some details in each one that I kind of mash together.
Yeah, and I'm kind of interested too because I bought skeins of that yarn. I was just looking through my stash to see. I bought enough to make a sweater of that same yarn, mm-hmm. but in a different colorway, sort of a forest green, pine green kind of forest green.
Oh, and the vivid wool.
The vivid wool. So I was just like, but I don't seem to have it here I must not have photographed it and put it in my stash. Anyway, the point is that might be a good pattern to make. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be striped though. Oh no, here it is. I bought 4 skeins.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that was my plan, was to make a t-shirt or a long sleeve t-shirt kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. I have the yarn caked up. I have not cast on because I have some pattern reading to do. Mm-hmm. But I do think the cast on will be it's a top down. So I think the cast on will be the Rachel. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll probably cast on with the darkest color. But again, I have some decision making to do, some planning before I can actually get my needles into this. I should probably swatch just to make sure what size I need to make. Mm-hmm. But I'm not planning to swatch and then find out I don't have gauge and not make this pattern.
Right.
That's not in my plans. I shouldn't say that. I might be jinxing myself, but a lot of times that's what I do. But in this case, I think I'll figure out how I can get the gauge I need, mm-hmm. and go from there and make this pattern. Yeah. So, okay. And then I do have still some ideas about what I'm going to do for the cardigan that I need to dye the yarn for. Oh, and by the way, one of the reasons that I haven't dyed the yarn, I'm going to take a tangent here for a little bit. One of the reasons that I haven't dyed the yarn for this project, besides the fact that I've done it so many times in my head that I'm tired of it, is that we had to have the garage doors replaced. Mm-hmm. So I was evicted from my trailer, my mm-hmm. trailer office for about 2 weeks. It didn't take that long to get the garage doors on, but all the preparation and stuff, Robert wanted to cover the trailer to protect it. So I moved stuff out of the trailer and worked in the house. All the stuff that was in the garage had to be moved back to the guy who was putting in the garage doors needed like 12 feet of space from mm-hmm. the front of the garage back in order to do the work that he needed to do. So everything in the garage got just like shoved against the back walls. Mm-hmm. So it was a mess. So last weekend, I spent a lot of time getting my side of the garage back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually could do the dyeing this weekend if I got my act together.
But it sounds like you're not motivated to do it, so it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah. Although, there's nothing wrong with having two sweaters on needles at the same time.
That's true. Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. Depends on how my weekend goes. But I once I was out there organizing the garage last weekend, I thought, I should get this done. So, but the two patterns that I'm thinking about, I think I've settled on, and I've swatched this one already. So I know that the patterns would work. One is called Brecken by Amy Christophers. And then the other one is called Anna's Cardigan, My Size by Petite Knit. Mm-hmm. And those are the two that I'm thinking of. The Brecken is, it's got some, it's not cable. I think it's lace detail in the front. It does not have a collar. Oh, and we're going to have a conversation about shawl collars again, another episode, because we've gotten so many great suggestions from people about shawl collars. So this one does not have a shawl collar. It has kind of a more open neckline and an interesting detail, kind of lace detail, and an interesting stitch pattern. Like all over it has a stitch pattern. Looks maybe like a moss or seed or something. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, the Anna's Cardigan, My Size by Petite Knit, it's really just got eyelet holes all around it. And I kind of like it too. So I haven't been able to decide between those two patterns. The holes would be a lot less interesting, but it would be a lot easier to have a sweater on the needles that didn't require any thought.
Yes.
So we'll see.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. But I do like the Brecken a lot. Maybe it would be good because the pullover won't be challenging. So that's it for me, Marsha. Lots of fantasy knitting and petting yarn and knitting. Oh, I have some socks too that I'm knitting on, but again, they're just socks.
And that's the yarn that I got at the retreat in Scotland.
Yes,
right?
It's the yarns from the plane. I started them after we recorded. I think I started them after we recorded last time. So.
And what are the colors on that?
It's green. I'm in a green. Mm-hmm. I'm in a green phase. Yeah, they're green. Again, sort of a blue leaning green, but bright, more emerald. Yeah, more emeraldy and tonal. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm just doing a little bit of a slip stitch pattern for 8 rows, and then stockinette for 8 rows, and then a little bit of a. Actually, it's not a slip stitch pattern. It's like a broken rib kind of a thing with purl stitches. So just to break up the variegated yarn a little bit. And I've got one sock done, and the other one is I'm at the heel. I have just turned the heel, so about half done.
Okay. All right. So. Well, I'll just talk about my projects. Mm-hmm. So, as everyone knows, I've been knitting on the cardigan Holey Comfort by Hinterm Stein. And I have to do some thinking now. So I've knit down it's about 21 inches long from the neck to the bottom of the sweater now. And if I follow the pattern, I have to knit another 80 rows. Wow. And then do 19 rows for the bottom band. And I think that's just going to be too long. So
it's already 21 inches and you still have to do another 99 rows? Wow.
Yes. So I think it's going to be way too long. So I just put the cardigan on waste yarn to think about how long I want this to be. So I picked up and started knitting the first sleeve. And I'm now 3/4 done with the first sleeve. but I am running out of yarn.
Oh no.
I don't have enough yarn to do 2 sleeves and put the border on the bottom, even if I go into my swatch.
Oh no.
So the yarn is Elemental Effects Cormo.
Mm-hmm.
And I had bought 2 skeins. What started this is I bought 2 skeins at the yarn shop over in Port Townsend, which I think is Bazaar Girls, I think.
I remember you
and
talking about it,
I realized I didn't have enough yarn to make because the skeins are, I believe, 400 yards. I don't know. I'm now not remembering. Anyway, as I was looking for patterns, I realized just because I'm bigger than, like you need less yarn to make a sweater than I do because I'm bigger, right? And the same thing, I was shopping with Kim. She needs a lot less yarn to make a sweater than I do because she's smaller than I am. So I realized I didn't have enough yarn to make a cardigan, and I didn't want another shawl. So I went to the Elemental Effects website and I ordered another skein of yarn. It's a different dye lot. It's subtly different. So what I did on the body is I just alternated rows for like 10 rows, and then just dropped and started knitting with the new yarn. So I think what I'm going to have to do is buy another skein of yarn and do the same thing.
Okay.
It's just alternate, because if you look at it really, really, really closely, you can see that they're different. But because they're kind of blended, because I alternated, it's not as noticeable.
Right.
So I think that's what I'm going to have to do. And so I also think too is even if I start a new skein, just to do the bottom band, it's a completely different stitch. So I don't think it'll be as obvious.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the only thing I can do, I think. I'm also thinking maybe instead of making the leaves full length, I might just make them 3/4.
Yeah.
Was another thought. Even if I make them 3/4, I don't have enough yarn.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. It's so weird. I don't know I don't know what I did to be so off. I'm really kind of perplexed by it. So anyway, there you are. I'm going to have to, I don't know what else to say.
Time to buy more yarn.
Yeah. Unfortunately it's still available. As I say, it's not so I'm really confused because I had bought 3 and then at Bazaar Girl, and then I ordered a 4th. Oh. So that's 1,600 yards, and the pattern calls for, the pattern's not right here in front of me, but the pattern for my size calls for about 1,500 yards. So why am I so off?
That is strange.
Unless I have...
Maybe the 21 inches isn't really 21 inches. Well, but it looks really long on people when I look at it. I was going to say maybe you need to go back and look at your pattern. Maybe it's not 21 inches plus another 99 rows. Maybe those 21 inches are supposed to include all the rest of it.
Well, because what I was doing is it says you do, hang on 1 second. This is bad podcasting. I'm just going to get up and grab my pattern. You do pattern repeats. I'm supposed to repeat the pattern 8 times. Repeat that. So let me rephrase that. The pattern repeat is 20 rows. And I do that 8 times. And then with all the increases in there, because there's increases on the back and there's increases on that front band. So it's good. The front band has a sort of, to make it A-line, and the front band's kind of, the front's bigger than the back kind of. So you do 8 pattern repeats, and then you do an additional 18 rows. And then you start I've done 5 pattern repeats, and it's 21 inches.
I can't imagine that your row gauge would be that far off.
No.
That's interesting. Well, we'll hear more next time.
So but the only thing is, I'm sitting here, I was like, did I lose a skein of yarn? I just perplexed. Like, why is it so radically off?
Well, it is a lot of fabric.
Yeah.
I mean, it could, because of the fronts being big and the A-line drapiness of it.
I'm beginning to doubt myself now. I'm beginning to think, like, God, do I have a skein of yarn lying around?
Like, you think you used everything you bought, but you haven't, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm beginning to wonder. I don't think it's true because I kept everything in the bag.
Right.
Anyway, I don't know.
Okay, well.
I'm beginning to doubt myself now.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Anyway, the other thing I'm working on is the socks, the Arne and Carlos. I'm just continuing to work on that. In fact, I'm just knitting on it now as I'm sitting here. And I'm about ready to do the toe of the second sock.
Oh, you're getting close to being finished. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting close.
Good.
So that's all I have for projects. I mean, I have all my other projects, which I don't want to talk about because I haven't done anything with them.
Yeah, you've been working on that sweater.
Yeah. I have to say, just going back to the sweater, though, I really think it's a nice pattern.
Yeah.
I really like the construction of it. I think it's really interesting. So I would really recommend the pattern. I think that the shortage of yarn thing, I don't think that's the pattern. I think that's something that I've made a mistake. But just the detailing is really nice, and I think it's a well-written pattern, and I think the construction is fascinating. Very interesting pattern. So, and because I've spit spliced, I will just have two ends to weave in.
Oh, that'll be nice. Yeah. So, and it's a fingering weight.
It's a sport weight.
Oh, it's sport weight? Oh, that might be because the pattern says light fingering.
But I got gauge.
Oh, that's true.
But then, and also it would be.
Oh, and then it shows a sport weight yarn too. It has different yarn choices, and one of them is a sport weight yarn. Interesting. The gauge is quite tight. 25 stitches per inch. I mean, per 4 inches. Because I was just thinking, oh, maybe this is a choice for me for the cardigan that I'm making. It is a pretty sweater. I can envision myself making this.
Yeah, I like it. I like the feel of it. And I don't know. It's a mystery.
Well, we'll have to find out because Nitty Barb is making the same sweater.
Yeah.
Barb, if you're listening, Marsha could use some feedback about how yours is going.
Yeah.
And how much yarn?
I don't know. Maybe I used the wrong yarn. I don't know.
But if you got gauge, that wouldn't
matter, right?
Right. But your row gauge might be different. But
because it's yeah.
So
but still, that wouldn't make sense. Why I don't have enough yarn?
Yeah. Have you tried it on?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like it's so long that you need to rip it back.
No. I think because the border is approximately 2 inches, and I think that would be nice. I just didn't want to have a really, really long
right
sweater,
Right.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, the mystery
continues. I wanted it sort of like it shows in the picture where it hits you sort of like, not at your waist, but not at your knees. Right. I think if I kept going, it would be, thigh level. I think you're right. My row gauge must be off then. That would be the only reason. So.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. I'm looking at the list of yarns, and the list of yarns is very wide ranging. And one of the yarn weights is light fingering and another one is sport. So I think that's very interesting that one pattern could have so many different yarn choices. But that might be the issue.
Yeah. And I know Barb, I think, is doing light fingering, or lace weight, I thought. I don't know.
So, okay.
I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah. But, we'll talk more about this next time.
I know. Well, I'm going to be talking about it for a while.
Hopefully not.
But I
too
have
long.
to say, but again, as I said, I really like the pattern, and I also really like the yarn.
Yeah.
It's really, it's Cormo. It's lovely to knit.
Yeah.
With, so
the color is gorgeous.
Yeah.
So
I like the color.
That'll be nice. Very cool.
Well, so what else should we talk about?
First of all, the winter weave along is coming. We're going to start November 1st. And that means we can talk at our next episode, because our next episode will come out the weekend of the 1st, October 31st, November 1st. So we'll talk our next episode. My studio should be done. Mm-hmm. And I can talk about part of my winter weave along project is going to be to get the studio all set up, the house studio set back up, where my smaller floor loom will be in there. So I will wait to talk about that. But if anybody's interested in joining the winter weave along, we'll be starting November 1st, October 31st. Mm-hmm. Winter is the time that I think of weaving, partly because I always took weaving class in the fall semester at the school when they had weaving classes. And then also because the room where I have my indoor, not the garage studio, but the indoor studio. Doesn't that sound like I'm spoiled?
Yes. Well, Kelly, we know you are. So
I have an outdoor studio and I have an indoor studio, and then I have the sunroom, which is filled with yarn.
I know.
So
you have nests everywhere. Right?
I do. I have nests everywhere. Yeah. So once the painting is finished, and I'll be able to start moving things back in, and I think that I should be able to talk about that next time. So, but that room is really nice in the winter because the sun is low, and so the sun will come through the windows in that room, and it has a heater vent, so it stays nice and warm. Nice. It's a small space with windows where the sun comes in, and so I can sit in little patches of sun in that room. So I'm excited about that, and we'll talk more about that next time. I don't have any projects that I'm really thinking about, but I'm thinking that I saw someone did a warp swap.
Oh, yes.
And I thought that was really an interesting idea.
It's Chewy.
Chewy Docs, who did all the art yarn?
So.
Okay.
Yes, because I think it was her. I'm pretty sure.
So anyway, I know we had somebody had mentioned doing a dish towel swap or, some kind of swap. And I'm thinking maybe in the winter weave along, we could organize some kind of warp swap. That might be kind of fun. So that's not a, firm decision, just sort of thoughts going on in my head. Mm-hmm. And the winter weave along goes on until March, till the end of March. So it's a long term, just kind of a way to put brackets around a time period where you focus on weaving.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that in the next episode. So think about, if you're going to join us, what you'd like to weave. It could be anything, you can weave anything from, a small little pouch on a cardboard loom because you don't have any other kind of loom, to a pin loom project, or, multiple harnesses on a floor loom, rigid heddle loom. There's lots of different kinds of looms out there. If you don't want to...
I have to just interject here about weaving. This has nothing to do really specifically about weaving at all. But I have on Amazon, I have not looked up weaving books at all. But the other day I went to my Amazon page to order something. And, at the bottom there's recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
And there was weaving books.
Interesting.
And I'm like, this is really, really weird. And then I remembered that 2 days before, Kim and I were sitting at the dining room table and we had a conversation about weaving. And there's somebody that she knows makes woven rugs, and she was thinking about buying one. And we had a discussion about weaving. And I said, well, I have the loom, that from you. And we had that discussion. And I have Alexa. I think she was listening.
Alexa was spying on you.
Yes. So I realized that. And so we are now having a test. So my son Ben was over and we were sitting around with Kim and we were having dinner and we were talking about this. And I said, let's do a test. So we had a conversation about calligraphy pens. And this whole about calligraphy, and we just kept saying calligraphy over and over again. And then we had discussion about soccer balls. And on about soccer ball. So this is our test. And I looked the other day and there was nothing there, but I'm testing to see if,
oh my gosh,
it shows up on Amazon.
That's creepy. I mean, not unsurprising. I've heard people saying that same kind of thing, but.
And then the other thing, this did not show up on Amazon, but on my Instagram feed, Kim and I also had a discussion about she's getting a new mattress and she has to get a platform bed, a thing, with slats or something. Mm-hmm. She's not going to have a box springs. And we had a whole discussion about that, or she's talking about it, what she's doing. And then my Instagram feed, it started showing up about ads for platform beds.
Wow.
So I think I need to go kill Alexa. She has to be
turn her off. You need to turn her off unless you're using her. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is not good. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going down a rabbit hole about this, but it was funny because we were sitting there asking, we always think it's kind of funny to ask her questions. Mm. And so I asked her, we were talking about companies paying taxes. And I asked her, how much does, Microsoft pay in taxes a year? And she could answer that question. I asked her how much different companies pay in taxes. She was able to answer that. She was unable to answer how much Amazon pays in taxes each year. She said that information is not available. Just
okay.
That's humorous to me also. Yes. Anyway. So if people don't know, Alexa is an Amazon product. So anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, back to weaving. I'm sorry. I went down a rabbit hole.
That's all right. So anyway, I just wanted to let people know about when it was happening. And then we'll talk more about it next time.
Okay. All right.
I do want to talk about my dog training. Mm-hmm. So first of all, I put in the show notes. I don't know if you've noticed. You haven't asked me about it. This morning's escape.
Oh, no, I have not looked at the show notes.
Yes,
yet.
We had quite a bit of excitement this morning with Bailey. So she's been doing really well. And I mean, I'm even able to, our back gate is, you don't open the door to the house and it's out, goes out to the backyard. We have to walk her from the house door to the back gate and then let her through the gate. And I've even been able to let her do that off leash. We've been doing that for a few weeks. She's been going off leash out the, side door to the back gate. And then I'm letting her out the back gate. So that was good. That was good. Anyway, I think I just got complacent because I put her out in the backyard and I fed her, and then I came in to make the coffee. And I made several mistakes trying to make the coffee. So it's possible that I didn't close the gate this morning. Like my brain was not totally engaged. But I've been really super careful about the gate. So, I mean, if someone asked me, I would say I closed it. And it has that regular the typical gate latch where there's like a little finger part that there's like a little piece that sticks up that you can pull up, and then the bar goes in, and then that little piece comes down. I don't know how else to describe it. How would you describe that kind of is there a name for that kind of a gate latch? It's not a bolt. It's not a sliding bolt latch. It's the one that just clips.
Yeah, I don't know what you call that, but
it like falls down over the bar.
When you close the gate, the lock falls down over the bar and it locks.
Yeah. And some people have, you can connect a string to it and pull the string over to the other side of the gate. But our gate is only about 3 feet. And then we have metal that Robert added, like grid, fencing grid that Robert added to make it like 6 feet when we got Bailey. So anyway, I make the coffee and I go back out to let her in, and the gate is open. I'm like, oh no. So and
you live on that busy street.
And we live on a busy street. And so I'm yelling to find Bailey, and I don't see her. She doesn't come from the backyard. I go in the front yard, and we have this little ravine. So I look down in the ravine because the cat sometimes is down there, and she's fascinated by the cat. So I thought, well, maybe the cat came and she was able to get out the gate, and she went to go look for the cat who sleeps down in the ravine. Maybe she tracked her down there. She wasn't there. I see somebody across the street who's looking at me kind of concerned. She's stopped in her walk and she's looking at me because I'm like out in my bathrobe in the front yard calling for the dog. I said, did you see it? Have you seen a German Shepherd? No, she hadn't seen her. Robert was moving the cars because he had to get cars out of the driveway for the painters. He's like, what's going on? I said, do you have Bailey? Where's Bailey? And he's like, I don't know where Bailey. I said, the gate was open. So now we're both kind of panicked, and I'm calling for her. And all of a sudden I look up, and here she comes barreling down the sidewalk from the other direction back home.
Like the direction from downtown, or
the direction from downtown?
Oh, okay.
So I was looking the other way because we have dogs next door, and I thought that would, and that's where the direction where the cat usually goes. I thought she would be in that direction, but she was the direction of downtown. And here she comes, barreling down the sidewalk. And and she was quite stressed. And so was I. So we all went inside and so anyway, she still is an escape artist, and I should not think that just because she loves us. And our other dogs, if they got out, they'd sit on the porch and wait because they wanted to come in,
Right.
They didn't go walkabout. So,
well, one did.
Yeah, it was but she was, she had dementia.
Had a little dementia
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the training continues. This is a reminder that she is not probably having her exercise needs met as much as she should. So anyway, but that was this morning's little excitement I wanted to share. I need to get a different latch on the gate.
Well, I remember this summer, what happened is I didn't realize it, but the basement door was open. And so we all, my brother and I had to go to the hardware store. So, and Kim was not home and Ben was not here. So, we locked the back door, locked the front door, leave to go to the hardware store. And Kim comes back and finds Enzo's just sitting on the front porch.
Yeah.
I want to go, I'm out, but I want to go in, but there's nobody here. And that's when we discovered that we had left the basement door open. And so we all do make mistakes.
Yeah.
But, Enzo, I think, is like your dogs. He stays close by. He didn't go. And there's been times too where we're all like, I let him out in the backyard, and I don't have one section's not fenced anymore, but I let him out there just, and I keep an eye on him, and then I glance away and he's gone. And I usually find him on the south side. He doesn't even go down on the sidewalk.
Right.
He just walks around the house and hangs out on the side yard. But it panics me.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I go into complete panic.
Yeah. It was scary this morning. And so anyway, but our training, I wanted to talk a little bit about that because we have a couple of people who have been talking about their puppies. Susan, SK Rad, has a Weimaraner puppy. And Grable, Amanda, has a Scottish Deerhound puppy. And oh my God, that dog is so cute. She's posted a couple of different pictures. And my aunt had Irish Wolfhounds. And I always, as a little girl, wanted an Irish Wolfhound. So it was really nice when my aunt had the Wolfhounds. I got to kind of vicariously have a Wolfhound. But it's been so fun to see the pictures of the puppies. And, just having a puppy is a lot of work.
But puppies.
But yeah, so fun.
Come on, puppies.
I know. Bailey's no puppy, but her training has been really fun. I'm taking a class, an online class. And the premise of the class is called Conditioning for Healing. And the premise of the class is that if you want that really prancy, fancy healing that, for obedience, that the dog needs a little bit of physical conditioning to be able to do that. They're not actually, dogs don't typically walk around with their head up looking at your face, right? They are designed to walk with their head at a certain level, and way up like that is not. And that sort of prancy walk that they do, they don't walk like that normally either, right? At least not for sustained periods of time. So if you want your dog to be able to do that for healing, for competition, you need to condition them. They need to build the muscles to be able to do that. So there's all these different activities. So the first week was all about stretching, different stretches, and getting them to sit, have certain posture. And you can just see the back muscles, her back muscles, like quivering, like firing when you do these exercises. So I know it's giving her work in areas that, her muscles don't. I mean, she's a pretty muscular dog, but it's like working certain places that maybe don't get worked normally, Yeah. So there's these different sit and stretch, stand and stretch your head up, straight up. Put your feet on a platform and stretch your head straight up. So, like all her weight is on her back legs. So those have all been really fun, and she really likes it, and it's been kind of fun to watch her. And then this week started the more of kind of motion, like being aware of your body in space kinds of exercises. And she's really agile. I mean, she can thread her way through things and not knock anything over in ways that the labs never could have done. Yeah. I mean, they just like barreled through. They didn't try not to knock stuff down. But it's so funny because as agile as she is, she really doesn't have any sense of where her back legs are. I mean, so I've been trying to train her to back up and put her back feet on a target. And when I trained her to put her front feet on a target, it happened really fast. It was pretty quick, but it looked like it was an accident. Like her feet were just there. Like, does she even know her front feet are on this target? And then all of a sudden it was really obvious, like, oh, well, every time I get the target out, her front feet go on it. So I guess she is doing it on purpose. But you couldn't really see that thought process, see the wheels grinding. With her back feet, I put the pillow down on the floor and getting her to put her back feet on the target. It was really hard to get that to start happening. But now I can see her, and she'll back up, and it's like her back leg is looking. Like I can see her leg reaching and wait, no. And it's so awkward for her. But you can see the wheels grinding, her mental process of her back foot is looking for this place. Whereas with her front feet, it was so natural that I couldn't even really tell the learning was happening, but she was always putting her front feet on the target. Yeah. So I don't know. It's been really fun to watch her do something that's hard and figure it out and struggle with it and look really awkward. And it's been kind of eye-opening for me too, because I thought she was, if anyone would have said, well, she needs to learn where her back feet are, I would have said, of all my dogs, this one knows where her back feet are. Yeah. But apparently not.
Well, and I would say the same thing of Enzo. He's pretty he may not be as agile as Bailey, but he's more agile than the labs.
Yeah,
you know? But I don't think he really knows where his back feet are. I mean, he has difficulty backing up, you know. I think they all do.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like this.
Someone described it as basically a dog's nose. It's like they're a kite, and their nose basically pulls the rest of their body. And you know, the front legs are engaged along with the nose, but the back legs just kind of follow like the tail of a kite. Yeah. And so that in her case, she can thread that tail of the kite pretty easily through things, but asking that tail of the kite to be the driver is not working at all.
Yeah, right. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been fun. This class has been a real, it's been a challenge for her, and also some new challenges for me in terms of the training, because I've never really, when I trained heeling before, we just did heeling, you know, and I didn't expect my dogs to do that fancy prancy heeling. I just expected them to stay on my left side. Yeah. But it's more about actually first training them to know where their body is, so then they can put their body in the place that you want it and have the strength to keep it there. So anyway, it's been fun and
really interesting. Yeah.
And the class is fun because it's, well, I'm just an auditor. So I can I'm not able to interact with the instructor at all. I get the information and I can watch other people's videos. But if you pay for the higher level of the class, you actually submit videos and then the instructor gives you feedback. And so it's been fun for me because I watch the video and then I think about what I think the feedback is going to be. Like I analyze what that other person did, and then I read the feedback to see if I was right. And so I've been learning a lot by watching other people's videos and then reading the instructor's feedback.
Yeah. Well, and I think I never did it because I didn't have anybody going with me to dog training, but I always wanted someone to film me because I think what I think I'm doing, and because all of what the dogs are learning is just basically your body movements and it's not even necessarily the words, and it's just how you're moving your body and place, especially with agility, the placement of your body and your hands and your feet. And I always wanted someone to film me because I would think what I was doing was right, but I wasn't. Enzo was confused by what I was doing. Yeah. So that meant I wasn't doing it right. Yeah. But I couldn't figure out what it was I was not doing right. And so having someone film you, I think is a great idea. So you can see it. Yeah. And so that's not what you're able to do, but just being able to look at somebody and think, this is what I think that they're doing right or they're not doing right, and then get the feedback from the instructor is helpful.
And I'm going to start doing some filming of myself so I can see, I want to take some video so I can see what I'm doing and watch it back. And I just haven't done it, but I did find the tripod in the garage when I was cleaning.
Oh, good.
So I have the tripod so I can put my phone in the tripod and capture a little bit of video. Maybe I'll take a little bit of video of Bailey backing up so you can see like her feet just like very awkwardly searching for where they're supposed to, the pillow that they're supposed to be on. So,
I'm doing the tricks class at where I train with Enzo, and we had an interesting discussion about frustration. That it's okay for your dogs to get frustrated, and just let them be frustrated and think about it a little bit. And so then maybe you don't keep pushing them through the frustration. Just let them be frustrated and stop. And then you'll come back to it. But it's not, and I think it's always amazing, even the tricks class, it's not physically demanding at all what we're doing. I mean, none of the stuff is physically demanding for Enzo at all. But he's drained by the end of class. And it's because it's the mental stimulation, it's like trying to figure out, because they've been built to please us, right? To make us happy, do what we want them to do, and trying to figure out what it is I want him to do exhausts their brains. He collapses in the car. When
Yeah, it really is.
Lays on his pillow when I get home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's really good for them.
And also I don't know about in the trick, I think to some extent in the tricks too, that fine motor movement is taxing, more taxing on them than you would think, but most of what dogs do is big movement.
Yeah.
So those little things.
Well, and this last time we went, one of the tricks they were doing is they have, those exercise balls, those rubber exercise balls that you sit on and exercise. Well, it was like that type of thing, except it was more of a sausage shape.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And I've seen them in some of the people who video have them.
Yeah. Anyway, he had to stand on it. Mm-hmm. And I was able to get him to stand on it and then stand on it and then sit on it.
Oh my gosh.
But he had to balance it. Well, actually, he wasn't balancing it 100%. I had it sort of between my legs, but still, I can't support it that well.
Right.
But he ended up doing that. But that's a lot of fine motor skills or using to be able to do that. Yeah, he was doing pretty good.
Cool.
Some of the stuff he had no clue. Oh my God, it's so funny. Some of the stuff he's like, I have no idea what you're asking me to do, and so I'm just. Would like to go home now. That's sort of his attitude.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, and trying to figure out, okay, how do you communicate what you want to him is half the battle. I was having such a hard time with the backing up. And then I found information in a book. Actually, I found the information I was looking for in a book that I had bought, but hadn't read yet. It's like, okay, this works really well. And it was about where I put the treat. So I put the treat down on the ground, and then when she looked up, she backed up. Like, oh, so now that she's backing up, I can reward her for what she was doing. And so anyway, it's been really interesting and fun. It's a nice puzzle.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
So, and what else do we have to talk
I think
about?
that's it.
Well, the only thing I'm just going to mention is the bags from Three Green Sisters, the Etsy shop. The coupon is still good.
Oh, yeah.
For Three Green Sisters Etsy shop. There's a link in the show notes. And they were so kind to give us bags as prizes. And they also gave us the 15% off. And that is continuing through December 31st. So, and the promo code is 2U's, all caps. And it's free shipping. So, but there's a link in the, and the promo code and everything is in the show notes. So, I have to tell you, I bought another bag from them.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did. Well, I like the bag that I got very much, but it's so big that it really isn't, it's practical. Like if you're going someplace where you want to bring all your projects, if you go to a retreat or something, I think then, but just for daily stuff, it's not, it's just a little on the large side. I love the bag, love the fabric, love the bag, but I wanted something just a little bit smaller. So I ordered, and I don't remember now which one I don't remember now which style I ordered. I'm drawing a blank on that, but the fabric is beautiful. It's has crewels, it's like linen fabric that then is it's been embroidered.
Yes, I saw that one, like your draperies.
You like my draperies, yeah.
Cool.
So that's the one I bought.
Ooh, nice.
So I'm excited. So I'll report on it. I think it should be arriving today.
Oh, good.
Along with my ballot. So I'm excited about all of that.
All right. Yeah, Suzanne said she was shipping the prizes after the holiday. So Monday was a holiday, postal holiday here in the U.S. Yeah. So she said she would be shipping probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So.
All right. Well, we will talk in 2 weeks.
Yes.
All righty.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. To subscribe to the podcast, visit 2usfiberadventures.com.
Join us on our adventures on Ravelry and Instagram. I am Better in Motion, and Kelly is 100 Projects.
Until next time, we're the 2Us
doing our part for World Fleece.